as statement of fact. Independent fact-checking and corrections are encouraged.
Can we get a cup of coffee in here, please?
Damn good coffee and hot.
Wake up, America. You've got a dog that needs walking. That's right, sunshine. Just put on a big pot of strong coffee and get ready to type your little hate mail with your opinions about kumbaya and flat earth insanity. Stand-up comedy? You want stand-up comedy? Well, we've got sit-down comedy. It's time for Coffee with a Dog. You make me laugh.
More coffee. More coffee. A little more coffee. Oh, good morning, America and the rest of the world. It is Thursday, October 12th, 2023. I don't know why I'm so tired. I got home pretty early last night, got to bed at a decent time, but I'm already complaining about being tired today. My wife said, "What do you got to do today?" I said, "I got to do my show and then nap." I have to nap. That's my plan for today. Power napping. Like I'm training for the Olympic napping team. Anyway, it's a beautiful day out here. We vacillate between beautiful autumn days and a preview of winter. Last night, you're not going to believe this. There were people 2 blocks away from me with Christmas decorations. It's not even Halloween yet. Christmas decorations on their front lawn. We're only 2 months from Christmas. And then a week later is New Year's, and bang, it starts all over. What starts all over? Well, rock and roll season for me, and that's what I'm looking forward to. How quickly things go. Anyway, happy birthday to Keely Wolf, a comedian who has put in about a year and a half now, but made her first internet splash on this program. Splash, well, more like a little spritz, a little spit, sprinkle. Anyway, happy birthday, Keely, who's recovering from, I don't know, a fall off the stage. Last night, drove to Astoria, Queens from Shoreham, Long Island for the taping of Sarah Talamash. I always have trouble saying her name. Taping of her special. If you don't know, she's 9 months pregnant, and she taped her special last night. Her husband is Joe List, who was the executive producer, and he was working hard. He was working hard. Sarah jokes about Joe's OCD. It was apparent last night. I mean, he didn't watch the show at all. He was standing next to me pretty much the whole time. Very tall dude, taller than Carl, much taller than Carl. He doesn't. Now, this is funny. I'm thinking about this last night because the internet and video in general does some strange things to people. They say it adds pounds to people. I don't know if that's true. I think people just were shocked to see how fat they were when they saw themselves on television. But short people look taller, and tall people look shorter. I've seen Joe List live, by the way, and when he's on stage doing comedy, I didn't realize how tall he is. And then he's standing next to me, and I'm like, holy shit, he's fucking big. Where do you get these big guys? And Somebody else I will talk about in a moment was also standing next to me at some point, and she is much smaller than I imagined through the magic of video. Anyway, it was a really interesting uh, show last night, and the way they taped it, um, I'm impressed with the idea. See, a lot of times when you're watching a comedy special on whatever streaming platform, television, where however you watch them, it just doesn't feel the same as being there, and I think a lot of that is because it's shot too big. A lot of people are caught up in shooting their ooh, I got a little Jordan Peterson there, I apologize for that. Shooting their specials, uh, in a big place, a theater, a amphitheater, a stadium, and that's really hard to capture an intimate feeling. Last night's special was really as intimate as it could get. The audience was an arm's length away from the performer, and a very small room, very tight room. I got there a little bit late and stood because there were no more seats. I think they had seats in a closet they could have brought out or something, but I was standing on the bar for the show, and because I got there late, and that's a whole other story. I might get into that, but a really tight little room. There were about I didn't count how many people there. It says the place seats 40. I would say there were probably 45, 50 people in there, counting the video production crew, and probably oversold it just a little bit. But really intimate performance, and I think it's a smart thing to do. My initial reaction was, "This is not gonna be," it doesn't make her look like a big star, but actually looking at the video, monitors in front of me on the camera that was in front of me, you can't tell, how big the room is. It could be gigantic, but it also feels really close up and intimate. Intimate is the only word you can use to describe it, and it really felt like this might be a really, impactful, that's probably a strange word to use in comedy, uh, special, where you actually feel like you're in a comedy club watching it. And I think that's what's missing from a lot of the big specials where people Red Rocks. You can't you can't be intimate in Red Rocks. And when I say intimate, I don't mean you can't have sex. You can't create a feeling of closeness, and I think we talked about this so many times in comedy clubs. They're designed as that kind of, dark, insecure place on purpose. You're sitting shoulder to shoulder with strangers, and, laughter is contagious in the dark and close up, and all that contributes to your wanting to laugh and feel as part of the show. Anyway, very good show. Sarah's performance was excellent. Joe List was Papa. He was taking care of his wife. He was he opened the show, by the way, and I got there late. He was already on stage. But he was, taking notes, looking at his iPhone, watching the cameras, talking to the camera people all over the place. I was like, it's not so fun doing that job, is it? But he's taking care of his wife, and good for him. Lot to do, and you know what? I'm sure he was nervous. He was nervous for her, and you know what? It's a cool thing to see. A guy taking care of his lady. Anyway, I'm gonna play a little piece for you. Tom Segura is the worst human being in comedy. I just want to restate that. Not that I hate Tom Segura. People thinking I'm hating on Tom Segura. I'm not. I'm just pushing back on his bullyism until he decides to lighten up. Now he did put out another uh, video, a reel insulting people who have less than him, just called "You're Poor." Um, just today. So I'm gonna keep doing this as long as I can remember to do it. I got rid of the video. I got to make a new video. But
Comedians who are funnier than Segura.
all right, comedians who are funnier than Segura. I want to bring this up. Today I'm highlighting a comedian who is funnier than Tom Segura. Katie Hannigan. Katie Hannigan is one of my favorite uh, comedians that I've only become aware of in the last 2 years. Her reels, I guess YouTube and Facebook and Instagram all figured out that I like her because her reels are in my face all day long, but they are worth it. It's a minute of joy. She's really, really good. But she's the person I'm talking about when I say I did not realize how small she was. She was sitting next to yesterday. First of all, I'm standing at the end of the bar and kind of nondescript in the background in the dark. She came and she was standing next to me for a bit, and I didn't even realize it was her because there was on the other side of the stage there was a lady with big glasses like Katie wears and short brown hair, and I'm thinking that's her all the way over there. So when she was standing next to me, I didn't realize it was her, and she was small. I can't believe how small she was. She's tiny. On television, she doesn't come off as tiny. I've seen her on late night stuff, and it just because you get this shot, you can't tell how tall I am, right? I'm actually 7'9". Um, but so and she's down here, and then at some point, I realized it was her, and she did say hello and all that, and she realized it was me, and it was got to say hello to her, and that was. That was nice. But Katie is definitely funnier than Bully Tom Segura. I just want to keep pointing out comedians who are funnier than Tom Segura every single day. I'm gonna until I see Tom Segura say something nice about people. That's what I'm gonna do. So I just want to remind you that there are plenty of
Comedians who are funnier than Segura.
yes, there are plenty of comedians who are funnier than than uh, Tom Segura. GD says, "No, it hurts." Well, pull it out of your ass. We'll get to you, GD. Well, definitely, you're funny. If I have to say you are funnier than Segura, uh, we will highlight you eventually in the comedians who are funnier than Segura. But there are people I've known longer than you that I need to take care of also and mention how funny they are. Don't be hurt. Don't be hurt. Um, you got to clean your room. I'm sorry, Jordan. You're not welcome on the show today. We have three comedians for you today. We have Arma Benoit. I hope I pronounced that right. Arma Benoit, who was actually a film director and producer, uh, and now I believe has transitioned into comedy only since the pandemic and all that kind of stuff when some of the productions were closed down. She's based out of Atlanta. Willie will be here somewhere around 10 a.m. I guess. He is he's a lightweight. Will he's still getting his feet wet. He's a lightweight. He can't do 3 hours. And I was just about to mention that we're going to go, I don't know, 3 full hours today. But we have two comedians. We have Arma Benoit due any moment now. We have Ann Van Epps in hour two, who is a Brooklyn, New York based comedian. And then Jackie, the joke man, Martling, due here at 11 a.m. this morning. We've been going past 11 anyway. And so Jackie wants to talk about this Bayman, gay man, not gay man, Bayman benefit he's doing next week with Peter Bales up in Oyster Bay and some other things. I did stop by and got a nice big bag for Willie last night from Jackie, and then left Jackie's house to go to the comedy taping last night, and didn't realize how. And I should have took Jackie's advice on how to get there, but I took the long way, lots of lights, and ended up being late. But and Jackie knows where I'm going. he knows I'm going to a taping, and then I gotta read this because it confused the hell out of me. He starts texting me, knowing that I'm in a taping. Um, close this. Why is this not charging? We got to charge, folks. Um, he says, "I'm an asshole. I asked if if you wanted some weed. Do you want to? Did you want? Why didn't you pipe up? I didn't smoke with Jackie last night, and he was concerned an hour and a half later that I didn't. And then he said, "Come on back." This is an hour and a half later, and I'm in the club now watching a comedy taping, and he's telling me, "Come on back," and he knows where I am. Anyway, he'll be here at 11 today. So we have a really good show with three great guests for you. My first guest is arriving is in the green room, so I'm going to play a short commercial. When we come back, we're going to meet Armand Benoit.
It's time to unleash your creative excellence. Dreams won't work if you don't. They never happen overnight, and they rarely follow a straight line. Excellence is a result of the hustle, consistently pushing to do better. And success looks different for everyone. CreativeLive.com charts paths and tailors content for students, but they also encourage independent thinking and exploration. Go outside of your comfort zone. Who knows, you might actually like it. Right now, you can get up to 70% off through this exclusive offer for Coffee with the Dog. CreativeLive.com has site-wide sale for Coffee with the Dog listeners. Save up to 70% off. Go to minddogtv.com and click on the link on the homepage now.
Willie's trying to seduce you there with the who knows, you might try it, you'll like it. You might like it. Willie trying to be a little subtle there. I don't know. We have some new sponsors coming on. We want to let you know about tomorrow. Naked Wines. By the way, if you're in a rush to partake in some of these things, Naked Wines is a link on the homepage of Mind Dog TV right now. Naked Wines is a really interesting proposition. It's where you become a partner with the winery. So instead of going to here in New York, we have wine and liquor stores. You can't buy wine in grocery stores like you can in other places around America. So you have to go to the liquor store. But wherever you are, sometimes you have to go to wine grocery store or whatever. This cuts out the middleman. You get it directly from the winery, and you save, and you are helping the industry produce the best quality wines. It's a really interesting proposition. It's affordable, and they have some great packages starting at $34 a month. I think it's $34.99. It's really $35, really. Anyway, it's a great new kind of way to buy wine. I hope you'll check it out. They will. We'll start running commercials for them sometime later in the week. We just got the voiceover from Willie yesterday. Anyway, as I mentioned, Willie will be back with us at probably around 10 a.m. today. He's just waking up, lightweight, can't do 3 hours. Armand Benoit is best known as a director and producer who has been working on film since the late 90s. She came up doing music videos with some of the most iconic Atlanta-based artists, Outkast, my favorite, or one of my favorites, Goody Mob, Little John, and T.I., just to name a few. She settled into support positions on films and television shows while raising her young children, worked for 8 seasons on The Vampire Diaries before moving to Step Up, High Water, Black Lightning, Greenleaf, and Genius Aretha, among others. She's here now. Ladies and gentlemen, please open your ears, open your minds, and help me welcome in.
Hey.
Armand Benoit. Am I pronouncing your last name right, Benoit?
You are. You're getting it right. You are.
Benoit Balls.
Yeah. Well, a while ago, you could say like Chris Benoit, but then he went crazy, and you don't really like to use that. The wrestler Chris Benoit. People.
Thank you for getting up and being here. I appreciate it. Outkast, man, those are the best videos ever produced.
Yeah. It was definitely a golden age of music videos when, they spent $1 billion on everybody's music video.
Right.
Now if you're not, a big artist, they don't spend that much.
But those songs were, Outkast at the time too. They bridge the gap between white music and black music perfectly. Uh,
Yeah.
and one of the greatest and one of the most underappreciated bands of all time. So that must have been fun working with them. Anyway,
It was great, and honestly, just all of the different videos that I got to do at the time, none of us really understood, I don't think, the cultural impact that the whole of all those videos collectively sort of had and put Atlanta on the map and, really affected the hip hop scene. So it was, looking back, it's really cool to have been part of all of that.
now you're Atlanta based still, right?
I am.
And you're a Latino.
No, I'm
Yes.
not.
No. Oh,
No.
so that Latino night is just something you're part of, something you've been.
Yes, isn't that funny? No, no, and if you saw when I'll probably air some of my performance later and you'll see, oh no, she's definitely not. No, Latino Night Live is this great Spanish language stand-up show. And so I just, long story short, I've always performed. It's not my, I love directing, and writing is really my jam, but performing is fun too. And since the strike, I've been hitting the stand up hard. And anyway, it's one of them. And I have a joke that I've been wanting to do in Spanish. So I'm going to go try it out. I actually speak fluent French, but I don't speak Spanish. So it'll be
There you go.
interesting.
Yeah, and I how gonna sound like a racist here. You didn't seem like a Latino lady to me, but
I'm not cool enough for sure. I'm
well,
definitely
no,
less,
it's
but I
not
do
that.
season
It's
my
not that.
food.
It's just being in New York, and my brother has a fetish for Latino women.
Oh,
So, but you get this image in your mind of what a Latina is, and and now I hear you talk, and I'm like, uh, that's a
no,
Southern
I know.
accent.
Yeah, I know
You
the
know?
Southern accent throws everybody off. What can I say?
Very interesting stuff. Um, so this thing you have now, you have a link tree going there where people can find out about this Latino night. Now, is that all comedy, or is it comedy and music? What is that all about?
Latino Night Live is just a stand up. It's all stand up in Spanish. So it's it's a Spanish language show, and so it's pretty cool. They do have a lot of like kind of variety shows here too. Um,
Wow.
but yeah, this one is it's a really cool theater called Dynamic El Dorado, and they put on a bunch of different shows, not just Spanish language stuff. And anyway, so I do a lot of stuff with that theater group. Is sort of how I found out about this show.
We haven't had a lot of comedians on based in Atlanta. I think one or two out of, sometimes we do two a day here. It's almost 1,000 comedians we've talked to over the last 5 years here. Um,
Jeez,
is there a thriving comedy scene that I don't know about in Atlanta? Because we think of
huge.
New York, LA, Miami, sometimes Austin. What's the climate
Oh,
of?
yeah, it's amazing actually. We actually have, well, we've got a punchline here, and that is a lot of the national acts will go there, but there's a place called Laughing Skull, which is also a sort of nationally known comedy club, and that's a place where, again, on any given night, some big time comedian is just going to wander in, and of course they'll put them on stage. And so that's always really fun. But yeah, there's actually a huge scene here. Every night there's like 2 or 3 mics going on. And we've got like nationally touring people now that have come out of here, people that go up and are on Kimmel and that have done all those shows and stuff like that. So it's bigger than I thought it was. And
Right.
there's opportunities to like take it national and stuff from here. So that's pretty cool.
Very cool. Now, John Locken, head of Road Comics of America, I believe, is in that. He's based somewhere near Atlanta, not in Atlanta proper.
I know John.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. I've met him. So I don't think I've ever done a show for him. But in fact, we just started talking. So, I mean, I'm usually doing film. And so I'm just sort of getting to know people now, and it's been fun.
Perfect, because I wanted to, with your film background and your doing comedy, you're the perfect person to talk to about this. Last night I was at a special taping here in New York. Well, not here in New York City. New York City's 75 miles from me, but I went to New York City to watch a taping, and First of all, have you done any comedy taping? Like, do people approach you for doing specials and stuff like that? Because everybody wants to do a special now. It's like not a special type of thing. It's not
Right.
special.
Well, I
Everybody's
mean,
doing it.
the reality for me and where I am as a stand-up performer, I've got a tight 20 minutes. That's about the length of mine. And I think that to get a special, I think minimum is a half an hour. I could open for somebody and do a great, opener, but I'm not really there yet. There's much more experienced comics here that are doing tapings
Right.
frequently. Like Lace Larrabee, she's a nationally known comic. She was on what's the America's Got Talent, and now they fly her out to Vegas every 2 weeks to like host their Vegas variety thing. And she
But
makes.
people knowing your background as a director and producer don't approach you as like, I'm doing a special and want you to take care of their special. And uh,
Now I have just gotten my very first approach from that, and I'm waiting to have a meeting with them and see if it's real or not. I don't want to be a jerk, but it's like pretty separate worlds for me.
yeah,
And one of them I look at is this is how I earn my living, and this is like my real. And then comedy, like, listen, I'm following the road where it takes me. So, but all the
that's
comics,
interesting. You don't want your worlds to collide. I feel that. I
Well,
guess.
it's not that I don't. It's just that I'm spoiled when it comes to film and television at this point. And, it's like one is sort of my established thing, and the other one is like I'm scrappy. So I don't know. Now, listen, if somebody cool wants me to help them, I would obviously do it.
Well, I was
Um,
thinking about getting into doing that last night because I have a background in video production. I'm not really film, but I worked in the hair and beauty industry in doing a lot of model shoots and all that kind of stuff,
oh,
video
yeah.
stuff. But last night at this taping, most of the time when you see a special, a comedy special, the idea is to go as big as possible to make the star look like they're rock stars. So they're doing them in arenas, they're doing them in these huge theaters, and the overhead, the shot from way up in the balcony and all that kind of stuff. Last night was a really, really small club. I mean, I can't say really, really enough. It's smaller than this room, probably 40 people, 45 people at most, crammed in a semicircle around like a pallet for a stage, two pallets for a high stage, and was a little chalkboard behind it. But my initial take was, well, people are going to appreciate this as a special. But then I thought that it might be more impactful as a comedy special because of the intimacy of it. That it will relate better to the folks watching at home. That it feels more like a comedy club, and they'll laugh harder at her special because of the intimacy created rather than this whole gigantic big star on a rock star on a stage type of thing. I just want to get your take on that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think honestly it has to do with the comic too, because if the comic can't fill a big arena yet, then it's just going to make them look like a loser. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Whereas if they
yes,
can fill a small space, then it's filled with people that want to be there, that are going to be receptive. And so to me, that's how much laughter is like everybody in the crowd laughing, kind of thing. And I also think that, yeah, audiences are more, I mean, think about tiny desk concerts that NPR does, and those sorts of things. So now we're used to seeing humongous celebrities in these intimate settings, and it doesn't feel like, oh, they're not famous, or oh, they're cheap, or oh, they can't afford a bigger place. It's almost like maybe this is purposeful, like you said. And so I think, yeah, I think, especially because comedy clubs are a thing, and a lot of those are small, and it doesn't make you feel like the people performing there aren't successful. It's just the club is a small thing.
right.
So yeah, I think it also relates, like, it depends on the comic, are they an arena type, bigger than life, huge kind of comic, or
Well,
are
I
they a
think
storyteller?
I hear you, and I get what you're saying, but most of the times, well, in the production of something like that, they don't take that into account. They don't think of, I've gone from comedy clubs, doing comedy clubs, and now I'm going to tape my special. It has to be a big stage, and they don't always do that. And you know what? Joe List was the executive producer of this stuff, and his last He was doing his wife, by the way. It was his wife's special. But his last special was similar to that. And I thought, riding home, I was thinking that was intentional, and it's a really smart move to do it small like that. Because Joe could sell out a theater. He's that big, and I'm sure he
Right.
does sell out theaters. But his last special was done intimate like that, and I'm certain there was a lot of thought put into that. Like it just feels better. It feels more like a comedy club experience.
Well,
Because
it feels like you're there, like you're experiencing it as opposed to sort of watching it.
Right, yeah, and, the other part is I don't really even great comedians, when I see their specials, I just don't laugh out loud like I do in a comedy club. You're sitting there on a couch by yourself sometimes or with one other person, you're not gonna be, you know, in pain like you can be from a comedy club sometimes when you leave
Yeah.
there and your face hurts and your sides hurt and all that kinda stuff.
Yeah.
In the promos for you, I think you went.
Let's see. Well, besides Latino Night Live tonight, I'm headlining on the 27th at Laughs at the Rap in Athens. Um, and I have to say that I actually used Naked Wines, non-sponsored. I actually used that that wine service.
Alright.
So
Um, yeah, so the area at Athens used to be there was a big music scene in the, I guess, 80s and 90s there. Is that still a big music scene down there?
it is because UGA is there, so, college towns, and it's like a big college town. Like
Right,
everything revolves around the students and things like that. So there's a ton of clubs to see bands and comedy every night. It's not like a little. You'd think of it as like this little. It's kind of how Austin feels like it's not going to be as big as and cool as it is, but it is. Somehow it's
right.
big and intimate all at the same time.
Yeah, Athens was the Austin before Austin was the Austin, before
Yep.
South by Southwest and all that kind of stuff. My
Yeah.
impression, I've only been to Atlanta and Georgia a couple of times. My impression of the state is, first of all, the most beautiful women in and that this had nothing to do with this conversation. But my first impression was every woman there is gorgeous. I mean, it's like you used to hear
Yeah.
that about California, and I went to Georgia, and I was like, there is not an unattractive woman in the state.
It's true.
But the other part of it, people were really friendly compared to New York, and that's what I want to talk about. In the comedy
Yeah.
scene, is it clicky down there, or is that because here, if you're not in a clique,
I know.
if you're not in a group of get in with a clique, a band of people who own a territory, you're probably going to be pushed out of the scene and not, you have to find another place to go, another place to make your mark. Is it
Yeah.
like that
And
down there?
no, and I think that's so unfortunate, and I think that's one of the appeals of Atlanta is I was just having this conversation on Monday. Same with the music scene here. Here's how I explain it. If you go to LA and say to somebody, "I'm an actor," the first thing they're going to say is, "What have you been in?" And if you don't list something big, they're going to go, "Oh, well, you're not really an actor."
Right,
Whereas in Atlanta, if you say, "Hey, I'm an actor," and they say, "What have you been in?" And you could say, "I haven't been in anything." And they'd say, "Cool. Are you taking classes? I have a friend that does it. You should talk to her. She might have some advice." They don't dismiss you. They understand, that you could become something. Same with musicians. They don't go, "Oh, you got a band? Sure. But
right.
everybody has a band." They don't do that. They go, "Cool. What kind of music? Let me hear it." Same with
Wow.
comics. You're a new comic? Cool. They will watch somebody go on stage. You can tell it's like their first or second time. They come off and they go, "Hey, good job. You did it. Like you went, you made it. You've got over the hump of being scared. Keep going. Whatever." And I'm telling you the difference because I've worked in LA, I've worked in New York, I've worked in Miami, I've worked in Toronto, I've worked a lot of places, through film and television. And the way that everybody encourages people here is I've never seen it anywhere else. And the conversation I had on Monday, we kind of reached the conclusion that I think it's because in Atlanta, it is a lot of people of color, it's a lot of women, a lot of transgender, a lot of, people just on the LGBTQIA spectrum. And these are people that have traditionally been marginalized by
Right.
groups of people that control the arts, that control corporations, that control work, that control everything, government, whatever, you name it. And we've been told, no, you can't get in on this, you can't get in on this so much that now Atlanta is like the community of people that said you can't get in on that. So we're like, yeah, sure, come on, let's hear what you got.
Yeah.
We're open minded to it, and I think that might have something to do with it.
That's interesting. You just said something really interesting there, that there's a big trans or LGBTQ, A, B, B, A, B, C, D, D, A, all that community down there. When you think of those communities, you think of Miami, you think of San Francisco, New York, maybe, but I never, because I think we have this, and I know I'm gonna out myself here as being prejudiced. We have this prejudice that the South is not as welcoming or as open to those kind of things. So you wouldn't think that Atlanta would have a burgeoning community like that.
We actually have, I think, the biggest. I could be wrong, but for a long time we did have the biggest gay community in the country, and that's because of the CDC. And when AIDS and HIV and all of that came out, the only place you could get treatment for it was here. And so we actually have a giant, huge community here. It's not a little marginalized community here. It's huge. Now you also have to remember that there's Atlanta, and Athens counts, and some
Right?
of the
Yeah. Yeah.
surrounding
Yeah.
Decatur. But then there's Georgia. And so
Yeah.
when people think of it, they're thinking of Georgia.
They're thinking of Marjorie
Atlanta
Taylor
is not
Greene.
at all the same.
The
Not
Marjorie
even
Taylor
close.
Greene is the ambassador for the state right now, unfortunately. So,
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
does.
We all
uh,
hate her too. Everybody hates her too. Don't worry. Nobody down. I mean, we're a blue state now, technically. I live in the burbs, and we've been blue in the last 3 elections, which I
wow.
couldn't believe. I was like, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
so but I think what you're saying about the marginalization of people makes a lot of sense to why they're more friendly in the arts and that kind of stuff, rather than the backbiting competitiveness that you see up here. It's people, you learn to live a life where you feel it, and you get empathy and all that kind of stuff. So, good point.
Yeah.
In your 20 minutes, can you give us an idea of the kind of material? Would you storyteller? Would you consider yourself a
Yeah.
story?
Honestly, it's storytelling because I never set out to do it. I'm a script, I write scripts. That's what I do. And I was writing something and I thought, gosh, this doesn't feel like a script. This is more like me talking. And then I realized, oh wait, this is stand up. Yeah, so it's a lot of storytelling. I'm a married mom, but I don't do like mom comedy. My stuff is a lot of dirty stuff. My challenge right now is to try to come up with a clean 10-minute set, and it's really depressing that I can't seem to talk for 10 minutes without saying something offensive or mentioning anal or something. But
Well, I think you've done it so far here, about at least like 15, 20 minutes, something. So good.
but I haven't
How?
been very funny.
All right. Yeah, no, but we were talking about this the other day. This is a good thing to talk about here, because somebody else was saying they felt the need to come up with clean material because you'll work more with it. And I was like, well, what's the point of working more with it if you're not going to be authentic? It's not going to feel like you. It's not. So I don't know. And people were arguing with me that you have to do it, and it will make
We
you
don't
better.
have
And
to.
even some of the most established comedians in the world have if they're going to go on television, they have to pick 5 or 10 minutes of clean material that they can do and clean it up a little bit. But I just feel like authenticity is what makes, especially in comedy and music, is what sells it. Is people feel that this is you being you. It's not, you're
Right.
not putting on an act, even though you're exaggerating some things. You feel it's really important for you to do the clean stuff, or is it just something you would like to do?
Honestly, I think more at this point it's a challenge, but I agree with you, which is why I haven't just written it, because I'm good enough writer that I could have written 10 minutes of clean stuff, but it wouldn't have anything to do with me. It would have
Right.
just been generic jokes that aren't really authentic to me, and I don't really do that. I mean, if I have wordplay jokes in my set, it's because it came naturally and like organically to what I'm talking about. I don't set out to like do clever shit or whatever. That's just not, you know, but yeah, so that's my challenge is I want to tell my stories, but do I have 10 minutes of stories that don't, involve embarrassing my kids? Because I don't like that. They're teenagers and one's in college. And so I don't want to fuck with that. And or so I'm working on it. For me, I think it's more like an artistic challenge.
I'm
Like, can I
shocked that
do it and
uh,
make it authentic?
this is not false flattery. I'm shocked that you're old enough to have a kid in college.
Ah, you're so sweet. I'm 52.
Oh
So
my God. See, this is what I mean about Atlanta. I mean, women don't age down there. It's just
you're sweet.
it's a very strange, and believe me, when I went down there, I was single at the time, and I thought this is heaven. I'm moving down here.
This is
Okay,
why this is why everybody shoots music videos here, because you will never run out of gorgeous girls ever.
wow. What is it? Why? Why?
Honestly, I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe being happy. It
Yeah.
looks good on you. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Now you don't get when you're performing there. You don't get is it touristy? I don't think you're gonna because in New York, if you're gonna do comedy clubs, you're gonna play for a majority of tourists a lot of times because that's the nature of the people who are in the
Sure.
city and around the city. But I don't see that happening in Atlanta. So it's when if there's a burgeoning comedy scene, it's locals coming to support comedy. Yes.
It is, and we also have a huge convention scene here, which is
Oh,
wild. But so we do get like big influxes of people. But the truth is it's like a specific, like a handful of clubs that the tourists are going to go to. They're going to go to the Punchline because everybody knows the Punchline. You know what I mean? And they're going to go to Laughing Skull because in Atlanta, everybody knows that's the sort of next big one. So there's a few bigger clubs, but for the most part, no, it's really just Atlanta comedy fans. And I mean, we've got a huge population here, so there's always people wanting
yeah.
to go out. So
Yeah. I never considered conventions versus corporations because I play for corporations a lot, and it's really dull and dry. But conventions, business people, not because when you're doing corporations, you're doing for people who generally work in that building that you're playing in, and so it feels like they're going to work, and so
right,
the atmosphere is going to feel very stale and dry, and the gigs are always torture, but it's great money. But I'm
yeah,
thinking the convention stuff is probably the opposite of that. When I think of conventions, I think a lot of guys cheating on their wives to get away,
yes. And
drinking,
everybody's
party.
wasted, like wasted, like
Yeah,
next level from.
so that's a
Yeah, it's
great
crazy.
opportunity for shows. I never even considered that. We have some conventions in New York City, but it's not like a convention hub. So that's a good thing for people to consider. And I'm not exactly sure of the path into being a person who gets a lot of comedy bookings at conventions, but it's something to explore if anybody out there is listening. And so, what
And
is
they
your
all have tons of money. Like the budgets that they
right?
have for that stuff is insane.
Okay, I know. I used to do trade shows all the time, and it was ridiculous. Like the companies that I would work for would put in $150,000 just in the display that we were taking to a trade show and all that kind of stuff.
Totally.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous.
yeah. There's so much money spent in that. What is your preferred um, venue type or setting type? Or do you prefer playing to an intimate or close up, low stage audience comedy wise, or do you prefer to be on a big stage and have people back like a couple of feet from the stage, that kind of thing, like in a theater type of situation?
I mean, honestly, it depends on the actual club, for me, because I like being on a stage where it feels like you're on a stage and it feels like there's an audience, because I feel like everything's sort of directed towards you, whereas I don't know how it is in New York, but here a lot of the comedy shows are at repurposed venues. So during the day it's this, but at night we've blocked off this area in the corner and we're going to have a comedy show kind of thing, and that's not as fun as the sort of more traditional. Now the truth is I haven't played like the Fox Theater, or I haven't done like a 10,000 seat
Right.
show yet, so I don't know how I'd like that, but I do like the sort of stage audience setup. Feels a little more real, and I feel like the audiences are a little more receptive because they're like for sure there to see a comedy show. We're here to laugh. They've paid money, so they want it to be funny. Whereas a lot of
Yeah.
times it's like people that wandered in and they've got a 2-drink minimum, but they don't really give a shit. They just wanted a couple of drinks and maybe they want to see comedy. Maybe they don't. They're just there.
Wow, yeah, I get that. Here people are doing shows, and I've talked about this in the strangest of places. I mean, pizza places are not that unusual anymore, but they're coming like a cigar bar. Like I can't just imagine people just a room full of cigar smoke. It doesn't seem conducive to a comedy show, but they're being more and more creative and trying to come up with new opportunities because there are so many comedians per stage. The ratio of comedians per mic or stage time is just way slanted in the comedians overwhelming to the number of stages. So they have to come up with creative ways. Is that what you mean by taking a space that was not necessarily made for comedy, and that's what they're doing, and like two pizza joints and stuff like that? Yeah.
Totally. And coffee shops and,
Well, coffee
like
shops
all
are
kinds of
cool.
stuff.
I think
Yeah.
coffee
Well,
shops
there's a,
coffee shop, you those people are used to listening to somebody with like an acoustic guitar up there singing, so they're a listening crowd. It's different than a bar where people are being noisy and there for a pickup or to cop drugs or whatever the hell they're
yeah,
doing.
right. No, usually they try to have it, cordoned off, or some kind of area to where, like, if you want to watch comedy, come here. There are a few brutal places that I won't go back. Oh my God, the worst one I ever did is sort of famous around Atlanta. I'm not going to say it, but everyone will know. But you show up, every comedian that night was like, "What the?" The guy literally hands, so it's a restaurant, and I'm looking around like, "Where's the stage?" And he's like, "Oh, there's no stage." He's got a wireless mic and he's literally wandering table to fucking table, talking to people, have no idea there's a comedy show.
That's got to
I
be
was like,
very,
what the fuck is
yeah.
happening? It was insane. At one point while I was talking, this woman is yelling to the waitress, going, "Hey, I also ordered a so and so." I just wandered over to the table and said, "Did you order a white lady?" And they cracked up at least at that. I was like, "Cause here I am." I was like, "What the fuck is happening?" It was so weird. That was I thought if I can survive that, I can survive. No show will be as bizarre as that one.
Oh, I don't count that
I know, right?
chicken
Knock
before.
wood.
Yeah, tomorrow you or the next day
Seriously.
you'll find something that will top that. Every time I've said that, nothing could get stranger than that. I've learned not
Seriously.
to say that anymore.
I
But
know.
yeah, wow. I mean, there is. I would at that point say to the owner, you have to set the atmosphere up so that the audience gets as much enjoyment as it. Because if they don't, you're not doing a service to them as the audience to experience the whatever it is, the entertainment that you're bringing in. If you don't set it up in the right atmosphere and all that stuff, I've seen.
Totally.
Like last night, the stage was pallets. It was they were covered up. They were kind of two pallets stacked on top of each other with rug put on it, but that's how small the stage was. But it worked.
Right.
It worked for that venue.
Yeah. And
Even
again,
that
if it
though is
looks
better than walking around table to table.
seriously, and if it looks purposeful, this looks like somebody showed up with a microphone and said, "Hey, you know what would be funny here? Let's try it." I mean, it just looked like it was a last minute, like, take a mic and go accost these people. I'm like, that guy looks like he's about to break up with that girl. I'm not going over there.
Right? Yeah, yeah. And
Seriously.
the breaking the ice and that in that kind of situation, it's because I'm thinking that's probably not just a one comedian thing, right? There's got to be a couple in a night, or so
Yeah,
if
there
you're
was
the
like
first
four.
one, it's like being fed to the sharks. It's you're getting thrown in in a piranha pool.
I mean, yeah, it was terrible. And it was like almost impossible to crowd work because nobody wanted you to be there. It was just like, God
Right.
damn. So,
So now, kind of coming full circle here. You want to keep both your worlds sort of separate if you can,
well,
but
no, it's not that. It's that I don't want the comics to all be like, Arma does movies. Hey, come do this for us. And it's
well,
like,
that's what I was thinking. You're probably inundated with already, is because you can't keep your career a secret. If
oh,
I
no. They all know. I mean, listen, the last movie, I just finished a Coppola movie. I mean, everybody knew I was working with Coppola. Like, there were pictures of me on the internet hanging
well,
out with
when you say
Coppola before.
Coppola, Francis Ford or Sophia, which
Francis Ford.
uh, Wow.
Like, yeah, it was obviously a career highlight. I mean, it was like I would have swept the floor if they had
Well,
asked me. But
not to diminish Sophia's work, that would be a career highlight too. I mean, she's Academy
oh yeah,
Award nominated director and as well.
for
So,
sure.
but yeah, wow. When you say Francis Ford Coppola, it's just like wow. That's like the Mount Rushmore of directors, right?
I mean, yeah, like I said, it was funny because when I got calls while I was on, because you know how it works, like you're on a show and then somebody else calls and says, "Hey, I'm coming to town. I got a show. Are you available?" Everybody that called me while I was on that was like, "Can I come sweep the floor? Does he need like a parking lot attendant?" You know, we don't care. Like people that were offering me jobs are like, "I'll come work for you." You know, so I think it's going to be his last one too. So,
Robert Taylor, who is a South Carolinian uh,
ugh,
based comedian, said he did a show at a black barbershop. Now, I
that
bet
could
that went
actually be
well.
fun.
Yeah, I bet that went well because I just see that as a lot of sense of humor in the room just to begin with. I don't know, I'm being prejudiced again, but
No, no, no. And in Atlanta, there's a lot of black rooms, like lots and lots of black comedy clubs, and they're they're great. Are you kidding
right.
me? That's the best crowds. Very
Isn't
interactive.
the kings of comedy scene that come out of Atlanta? Bernie Mac
All
and
that. Yeah.
what's his name? Steve,
Harvey?
the guy who, yeah, Steve,
You talking
the
about
guy,
Steve Harvey?
yeah, Steve Harvey. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I mean, it's huge. I mean, like I
seen
said,
him
it's
over
not
there.
unusual for like Kevin Hart to show up and just pop up on stage somewhere
Wow,
or like,
wow.
whoever. Yeah, no, it's so fun like that. So, I mean, I think a black barbershop might be kind of fun.
Yeah, so do I. I could definitely see enjoying that kind of performance thing. Of course, depending on how small it is, and if you're
Yeah.
walking between chairs and getting in the way and stuff, those are
Well,
always
and
weird.
and what's the age of the population too?
That
Because that makes a big difference
Yeah, a
too.
bunch of old crappy old
I've
men.
done it. I've done it. I went to in fact, at the place that I'm going tonight, Dynamic. It typically generates us like a youthful crowd, like a young hipster kind of cool people crowd, right? And I did a show that we all thought was going to be that crowd, and I'm telling you what, I don't know what happened. I think it was, maybe it was one of the comics had brought some people, but it was a bunch of women in their 70s and 80s, and you're talking about a room filled with them. And I've got jokes about like doing anal and all this other stuff. And I was just like, oh my God. But that's all right. They were perfect. They thought it
It
was going to be
seems like there's an abundance of anal jokes.
listen, I just keep saying that. That's just my,
But
standard
let,
for that. I'm disgusting.
let me just say, because I do a lot of volunteer work and sometimes paid work in nursing homes, and those old ladies, they're dirtier than you are.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's what I was saying is that it turns out I was worried for nothing that they're just as dirty
No,
as
they want to. I'm like catnip to old ladies. I mean, they want they. I was saying that I should have discovered this in my audience years ago because they are good for my ego. If I go in and do a show for a room full of old ladies, all of a sudden I'm Elvis in his prime. I'm like, they treat me like I'm a major star, and they want to rip my clothes off and
I
have their
love
way with
it. Listen, my mom is at a place that's an independent, so she's got like her own apartment or whatever. But yeah, I mean, the gossip that she tells me with these guys and girls and they're all like sleeping with each other and stuff. It's wild. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, okay.
So
So
yeah, sometimes those could be really interesting shows. And so now, how often are you working? Because I I found your link tree, and the link tree is in the description for people who want to find out more about you and find out where you are. But there's not like one consolidated places where your schedule is put, or is that you use Instagram for
yeah,
that?
Nick, I'm not like there's only a couple places that like the Skull and Punchline and Star Bar where there'll be like the featured comic where it's somebody like in residence for a month or something like that. No, I'm just doing a bunch of different shows all over the place, and the easiest way is to follow me on Instagram because I'll post like here's where I'm going to be this week or whatever. But I mean, I've been doing 3-4 shows a week right now, but again, since the strike, when you're working on a movie, you're working 12-hour days. If I could
Right.
make it out twice a week, it was like killing me, and I was still insistent on doing it because this business is all about building momentum. So
Right.
since the strike, I've just been like, hey, I shot a pilot on my own over the strike, but besides that, all I've done is comedy. So I'm just trying to hit as much as I can, get people to see me, know me, you know. So, but no, it's there's that many shows going on where you can just book. I still haven't even hit like a tiny percentage of all the places.
Wow. Well, it's been a pleasure to get to know you, and I hope people will support you. And if I ever get to now, are you planning on doing any road work and hitting comedy stages or in other places in the country?
I just started. I just got paid to go up and do a show for a bunch of golf daddies in Outer Banks, North Carolina, this beach town. It was great. And I just went to Chattanooga last week and did a show. So I'm starting to venture out. I would love to come to New York area one day, but that's only if I've got shit lined up. I'm not in the mood to like come up and
Yeah,
hope for the
no,
best.
that's a mistake. Too many people make that mistake, think they're just going to come here, and then they realize everybody else had that idea, and there are 2 million people in line in front of you. So that,
Exactly.
but yeah, because I am. We'll definitely keep you in mind. I am looking into producing my own shows. We are on Governor's Comedy Club Network here, where the Governor's has 3 on Long Island. We're affiliated with Sticks and Stones Comedy Club in Southampton, and making some inroads into some places in New York City. So if we have any opportunities, we'll let you know about it.
Oh yeah, I would love that. That'd be great. And it's funny, I'll have to mention John when I see him that you know him, that we have a mutual friend. So
Yeah.
it's not that big of a world, the comedy scene,
Oh, there's a lot of people.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people coming and going. The
Right.
ones that stick around, they all sort of end up knowing each other.
I think more need to be going.
Yeah, I know that's right. Well, honestly, they do. I see it too. Yeah, and you
Yeah.
don't even need to discourage people. Just it'll play out by itself.
That's true, and I never want to discourage anybody from following their dream and stuff. But at some point, if you're just still doing open mics after 7 years, somebody told me they finally got paid $20 after being in comedy for 7 years. I was like,
Oh
I
my
would have
God.
quit. Good for you for the persistence, but I would have quit. I would have
Yeah,
quit.
that's called not taking no for an answer, pal.
Yeah. Well, it's been great to get to know you. I
Well,
appreciate you
thanks
being
so
here,
much.
and we will encourage people to follow you. Anything that you have that you want to promote, just email me, and I will post it. Put it on our website, put it in our newsletter, and let people know where they can find you. You're a delight. Thanks for being here.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. This has been so much fun.
Have a great day. Bye for now.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye. Armor Benoit, folks. The link tree is in the description there. I'm going to take a really short break, freshen up my coffee, and be back. We have in the next hour Ann Van Epps, who is a Brooklyn-based comedian. And then we have more after that, folks. Jackie, the Joke Man Martling, will be here at 11 a.m. or around 11 a.m. And we'll talk about him texting me to come back to his house to smoke weed when he knew where I was going in the first place. I should have listened to him. I did not take his advice on directions and paid the price for it. But I'm going to take a quick break and go get some coffee. I'll be right back. Please don't go anywhere. You're going to if you liked Armor, you're going to enjoy the rest of the show. And you know what? Even if you didn't, you're going to enjoy the rest of the show. Speaking of enjoying the rest of the show, I got to put Willie. See that? No. This episode is brought to you by Koa Coffee. Not them. Good morning. I'm putting you back in the freezer. Both of us in the freezer. I'm gonna play True Fire. I gotta get some fresh coffee.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Over 2 million guitar players worldwide learn, practice, and play with TrueFire. Our learning tools and massive library of video lessons will ignite your technical skills, harmonic knowledge, rhythm playing, and soloing chops. TrueFire's educators are the best in the biz, from Grammy Award winners to world-renowned artists. You'll have access to an unparalleled faculty of over 300 top-notch blues, rock, jazz, country, fingerstyle, and acoustic guitar educators. Using our desktop and mobile apps, you'll work with TrueFire's multi-angle video lessons on any device, anytime, anywhere. Integrated learning tools such as video synced tab and notation, slow-mo, looping, practice jam tracks, and many more handy controls accelerate your learning experience. TrueFire style-specific learning paths guide you every step of the way. Use our assessment tools to find your starting point, then follow our lesson recommendations and track your progress as you work through your personalized TrueFire study plan. Progress faster with private one-on-one instruction, group lessons, multi-track video jams, live streams, song lessons, student forums, TrueFire's Riff magazine, premium jam tracks, and much, much more. With thousands of 5-star ratings and reviews from amateur and pro players alike, you'll find yourself in good company with the world's most comprehensive guitar learning platform.
Now on mybookie.com,
Grab
we're
your
taking
guitar
bets
and ignite your
on
musicality.
whether
Sign
Willie
up
will
free
be
for
muted
an
or
all-access
not.
trial today.
Quick, you got a bet. Betting windows are closing. Will Willie be muted? And let's see. It doesn't look muted. You know,
Hey!
now you ruined your brand. You ruined your brand.
I wanted to throw off the betters. Always, you know, and I want people to never be able to know what to expect from me. You think I'm going to be muted, and just when you think that, just when you're sure, nope, no, I'm not.
If you
No,
bet
I'm
the
not.
ranch on Willie being muted, you just lost the ranch.
That's right.
Good morning. How are you?
Cows are going to be wandering now.
Look at you. You're like you look like an adult or something with that shirt on.
You know, it's funny that you say that because this is one of my dead father's shirts. That's interesting. That's yeah.
It's like a godfather. He's my dead father.
Yeah, no. So when my dad died, my brother-in-law at the time, Rodney, and I were both about his size, and my mother said that if we wanted to go through his closet and grab a few things, we could. And it was kind of a way to hold on to dad or whatever, you know. But it actually turned out to turn into one of the funnest games I ever got to play, which was the Ghost of Bill Conway. And the way that I would play the game, the Ghost of Bill Conway, is that when my dad died, I was also given his car. Okay. And so me and my dad looked a lot alike, you know, and so I would get in his car because I would go back home very rarely, but sometimes I would visit Emmitsburg. And so when I would go to Emmitsburg, I would be in his car and I would get in one of his shirts and I would hang my arm out the window like he always did. And I would just slowly tootle around town like my dad would. Because I knew that there'd be some people that would be like, I saw the Ghost of Bill Conway today.
Now, is that your dad in that picture? Because there's a picture that looks like it was taken from 1964. Short hair. Looks like you in a suit.
Okay.
Short, like a really short cut. And
I'm not sure which picture you're talking about.
I got to find it. It's like, it's been... I think you've used it for promotion or something, but it's like you wear. It looks like you in a suit, but it could be your father. I didn't even think that it was your father. My gut instinct was to just think that that's the day he got out of prison suit.
Right. Okay. Well, my dad might be. I wasn't wearing a suit when I got out of prison, though.
Oh,
my dad was. Like I did meet up with my family and stuff. Like it wasn't the day I got out. It was like. I think a couple days after or whatever, but my second wife was the one who picked me up from prison.
Wow. I'm going to find that picture while we're talking. Arma Benoit, pretty impressive.
Oh, she was amazing, by the way. I watched most of the interview. You know, it's not that I wasn't up or that I couldn't have been here, but I've been having a little bit of a juggle on where to podcast from because this is my bedroom.
Well,
which you wouldn't think is a big deal. But I also have a wife that doesn't necessarily get up as early as I do. You
well,
know what I mean?
yesterday, where were you yesterday? I think you went outside, like the shed or something, right? Or something yesterday? No,
I mean, yesterday I think I was in the kitchen. I think I was yesterday.
because I saw you going out when we were setting up. I saw you go outside, and I thought
Oh
you
yeah, no. When we were setting up, I went out to the shed. Yeah, that's where we smoke weed. yeah,
uh, but that was a good location. So you're looking for a
but the
new.
Wi-Fi is not great out there. Like I don't think I would be able to. Because, like, dude, I would buffer so much if I was out there because I'm just not close enough to the
Right.
receiver or
Uh,
whatever you call it.
have you considered the Atlanta? I didn't even think Atlanta was a scene, but it sounds like it. Sounds like
No,
it.
I mean, I definitely want to go there. And I actually have a friend, like a childhood friend, that would probably let me stay on her couch for a few days if I did a few shows there or whatever. I tried to get into the Laughing Skull Festival, but I didn't get in. Um, I got my rejection
Oh
letter or
my God!
email.
There's one with you in a leopard skin G-string. I'm looking through your photos here to see if I can find that picture. Conway Comedy, and it looks Photoshop. It could be Photoshop, but
Yeah, no, I don't even think that's me. Is it somebody with a mullet?
yeah.
Yeah. That's not me, but I think it's a meme I made. That's probably I made the meme out of that one. It was like, dude, that's one of my favorite memes. Um, because it's like it's something about like being too filthy or something like I can't remember. But no, that was one of my I love that meme. That was a good one. One of the most disturbing things that ever happened is my friend Jamie Tucker, another comedian, very funny gal. She's gonna be doing a show in Wichita, the place I won't go, Wichita. She's gonna be doing a show there this weekend. But she did a Photoshop of my face on Joe Exotic next to a tiger wearing like this like shimmering rainbow fucking shirt. And it was a great Photoshop, and I thought it was fucking hilarious. And so I shared it on my Facebook. An alarming number of my friends and family thought it was a real fucking picture of me next to a fucking tiger.
Yeah.
Like, like I fucking was that close looking to Joe Exotic. Fuck all of you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I was so mad. I'm like, this
why
is
did
why
that
I
make
want to
you
go jump off a
mad?
fucking cliff. You know?
I don't get why that would make you mad, but to me, and I don't want to
They,
sound like
they think I would dress like Joe fucking Exotic. You know what I mean? Like I'm never
well
gonna be
for a
caught dead
gag.
wearing that. Fuck
I
you.
I think you would for a comedy bit though. No,
I mean, no, sure, for a comedy, yeah. There's a lot of things I do for comedy.
there you
There's
go. I
there's
mean, so maybe they were thinking in those terms.
no, that's probably very true. That's probably very true.
Let me see
It
if I can share this picture with you now. I found what I was looking
Did you
for.
find it? Okay, all right.
Share screen, tab. Is that untitled? No, it's not untitled. It's this one. Here you go. Come on, pop in. There you go. This picture. Is that you or your dad?
I'm not. I can't see it yet. Oh,
You
okay.
can't
Here we
you
go.
can't see
It's
it?
coming. It's coming. I'm getting a little circle. It's giving me a do.
Wow.
Hey, yeah. Look how good I do that, ladies. I'm just saying. Anyway, all right. That's me, bro. That's totally me.
Oh, because I mean, you were saying your dad looks like you. I mean, in the suit, because it seems like this is an old photograph, like somebody
Yeah,
took
this
it
is
with like
from
an
last
old
year.
Instamatic camera and had to take it to Photomat and have the film developed and wait 2 weeks. That kind of stuff, not taken with a phone.
It's interesting though because this picture was taken like the day of my mother's funeral.
Wow. Oh,
Interestingly
that's why you're
enough.
wearing a suit.
Of course, yeah.
Oh,
I mean, it's either that or court, I mean, come on.
yeah.
I mean, listen, I shine up like a new penny, but I don't like to if I don't have to. You know what I mean? But I can look real nice.
Yeah, but
I just don't like doing that
the
shit.
haircut was what got me because it looked like a
Yeah.
1960s haircut. Like, and to be honest with you, this is one of the few times I've seen your hair. I mean, usually you got a hat on.
Yeah, no, and I'm gonna be honest with you. It was a struggle because I was like, I don't really have a hat that goes with this shirt at all. I don't want to wear a beanie like I usually do.
You try
Like
to
that
be
feels.
fashion coordinated and figure a
But
hat
I
that
wasn't
goes with
happy
the
with what
shit.
my hair looked like either. Listen, I'm a little bit of a diva. I don't know if you know this. Like I have real problems. Like anybody who listens to this show and on any kind of regular basis should know that there's a myriad of things wrong with me.
Oh yeah.
I just I do real good at keeping my poop in a group, even though it's kind of like diarrhea. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
yeah,
All right.
like,
Wednesday, I just got notice. Wednesday the 18th, which is a week from yesterday at noon, being interviewed for my congressional run. Now,
ooh, yes, awesome.
a big player. I should look this up. Tom Swazi. Tom Swazi, who is a big. He was like a county executive here. I think he ran for governor at one point. Has entered the race, which means maybe it's time for me to give up.
Well, come on now. Come on now.
Well, it's not because if Santos goes to jail and Swazi's the opponent, I'll get 4 votes.
Four,
And
four.
that's including Jackie and
Listen, I
Mike
will come
Barone.
door to door for free. You don't got to pay me, dog. I love you. I will go knock on doors for you.
I'm just saying because somebody
We'll get
told
you
me
up to 12, easy.
somebody told me he entered the race, but I didn't see it official.
Well, I mean, so the article I read yesterday that I semi-reported on did say that like with these new charges, like there's definitely going to be more candidates entering for
All
sure.
right, so Tom Suozzi was a Republican, but he entered the race as a Democrat. He's going to be running against Santos and me. He's the Democrat. He'll be. There's no
Right,
doubt.
that's what I'm saying. I think it gives you even better chance, bro. That's what I'm saying.
Possibly because they ain't going to vote for a Democrat in that
That's
district.
what, bro. That's what I'm trying to get at. Is I'm saying that the more horses in the race, the better your chances are of sneaking the fuck in there.
All right, all right. I'll take that as encouragement. All right, I'm down with it. So I wanted to talk to you about last night. I was thinking there were going to be more of their friends. There were some comedians in the room last night. Jackie brought up to me. He said, "You don't want comedians when you're taping a special. You want to tell your
Yeah.
friends to stay away because comedians aren't going to." And I did notice none of the comedians were laughing.
I mean, it's different. Like even when I watch it, because there's so many different things that I just subconsciously now pay attention to. Other than the actual joke and stuff, I'm paying attention to meter, to mannerisms, to all sorts of stuff. You know what I mean? Because I'm studying everyone. like I don't know, like, and I think there's a lot of comedians that are like that really um it once you get to a certain point, like it's not, you don't hear comedy in the same way anymore.
Right. And it's got to be really difficult when it's your wife. I mean, Joe List. I mean, and again,
Right, I'm sure.
he was executive producing anything, but you want to see OCD on display. I mean, he was taking notes, looking at his phone, like checking the clock, talking to the cameraman. Like he didn't have us. I was thinking this has got to be the hardest he's ever worked in his life. But
he wanted, I commend that because he wanted to do a good job for his wife. You know what I mean? Like that's
me
awesome.
too. I love it. I mean, that's true love, man. Because
yeah.
I don't know if you can see this picture. Mike Chavola sent me.
I mean, it's doing this for. I gotta wait. Wait.
You gotta wait.
It does this for. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Yeah, that's dude. Yep, that on a little like hand flyer. Yep, I'll just.
He surreptitiously took that photo. I don't know if I realized he was there. I don't remember when that was, but I'm Matt Napple and I don't approve of that campaign photo, but I posted it anyway.
Man, that's great.
New York City. And because Queens is, Manhattan and Queens are not the same thing. And I never thought of Queens as New York City, but even in Queens, I mean, smells like great weed no matter where you are walking down the street. Because I had to park like 4 city blocks away from where I was, and I got to walk. And I'm telling you, it's like I like it. I could see how people who don't like the smell of weed would get really fucking like legalization has made it like ridiculously. But it's like it's like you walk into a dispensary full of the best weed as you're walking down the street. It's heaven
Right.
for me, but I can see how it would fucking
No, that's fucking hilarious. That's awesome. I would be the same as you. I'd be like, this is heaven. Because like one of the things that people like say to me the most when I go out to places and shit, they're like, bro, you are loud as fuck right now. Like, because I don't, like I'm all, like we usually smoke blunts or whatever, And so like, especially if where we're going is like a couple hours away, you know what I mean? So like, there was 2 or 3 chiefs along the way or whatever, or like when we got there. And so by the time I walk into somewhere, yeah, bro. Yeah, like I totally have just a weed smell that just follows me fucking everywhere. Like sometimes I'm like, did I fucking leave the bag on me? No, that's just me. Fuck. Like
this is for you.
awesome.
Probably it feels like about 2 ounces in here. Now Jackie told me how I got to wrap it and kind of secure it so that the dogs don't get it.
Right, yeah, we don't want that.
I'm curious now because Kelly's hoodie is coming to your house. She wants you to sign it before sending it to her. I'm curious, is this going to beat that? That's getting there on the 19th, which is a week from today. If I put this in the mail today, there's a race between the hoodie and
it's a race.
The hoodie and the goodie.
Yeah, the hoodies and goodie. Yeah. I like it. It's a race. Hey, can we bet on that on mybookie.com?
Yeah, we can. I don't know about mybookie.com, but probably you could bet on anything. You could bet on just about anything on mybookie.
That was my favorite thing about that movie Rat Race. Which by the way is one of my all-time favorite comedy movies. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it's fucking hilarious. It was like a group of people that bet on just obscure ass shit,
Yeah.
It was,
Astoria, Queens, where this special was taped last night. A lot of comedians live in that area. I did not know how many comedians actually live within like a 4-block radius of this place.
Oh, okay.
And I mentioned that I parked 4 blocks away, walking there, and the weed. On the way back to my car, I happened upon a very famous comedian. I'm not going to say his name yet. I'm going to be because. But he was smoking a joint, and I said, "Wow, that smells good." I didn't realize who it was, and then he said, "You want a hit?" Oh yeah, oh man. And then I realized, got talking to him a little bit and joking around, getting high on the street with a big shot comedian, just on the side of the street there, and I was joking around with him, and I don't remember what I said because I was thinking about this in the car on the way home. Whatever I said to him, he said, "That's really funny, man. You stand up?" And that was the greatest compliment I think I've ever to have somebody who is a fucking killer funny guy say, "That's really good. Do you do stand up?" To me, that would made
no,
my
that
night.
is that should have made your night. That's awesome.
Yeah. Did you get what I was talking about? The intimacy of the way they set this thing up and the way it was shot. And do you have any thoughts on? Do you know what I'm talking about? What I was saying?
I think I was in and out during parts of that. So I don't know exactly what.
Basically, what I was saying, they shot this. My first impression, because I walked into the club. I'm late now. The show's already started, and as you walk through the front door, there's a curtain, and you can hear Joe List is on stage like 10 feet, not even 10 feet from where I am on the other side of the curtain. And I'm like, nobody's checking my ID or ticket or anything. I'm like, what do I do? And there's a cameraman there peeking his lens through the curtain. He goes, just walk through here. I'm not just walking through a curtain into a room there where there's shows going on because it looks like, hey, my dog's here. And it's not that. He said, no, that's and so I walked through there and there's no place to get a seat. And I'm like, I'm walking in between seats now. It's really small. And my first impression is, wow, this is not gonna like look really impressive for a special. And then I started to rethink it because now I'm standing against the bar in this corner, like the standing room only in this really tight little intimate space. The stage is like 2 pallets high, and the chairs are really almost like the feet are touching the two pallets, of the people in the front row. And so it felt like they're right in the comedian's face. Like,
Right. But see,
and
I like that. That is more of the small club atmosphere. That's what Nitwits was like back in the day. Except Nitwits might have like they had an actual stage that was a little bit higher,
right,
but it wasn't huge, you
right.
know. And but the first tables were like right, right on the stage. I always like it when the crowd is right there next to the stage. Like,
And Van Epps is late, by the way. I wonder if we're getting a no show. If I would have known this was going to be a no show, I would have told Jackie to come on at 10.
I mean, can you message him?
I could.
Maybe, I
Uh,
mean, maybe he's already ready.
yeah, we'll see if she. I'm sure he is. He's probably he's up on his deck, just overlooking a beautiful water. I took some video of his back deck. It's fucking beautiful. But
Right.
I want to stay on this a little bit because again, I was thinking about how most specials are shot. Like the specials you're familiar with, the big time specials. People are. It's usually on a theater, and you can tell it's the shot from the balcony stuff, and you get this big shot of overhead of the stage, and it's to impress the people at home of this is a big time showbiz event. But those are often feel stale. Like if you watch them at home, they're not as funny as when you're at the comedy club. But this, because it was shot so intimate, it's gonna feel very much like you're in a comedy club, and I think
Right.
the viewer at home is going to feel the intimacy and laugh harder, enjoy it more as a comedy show. And
Right.
I thought it was the more I thought about it, the more I thought it was a brilliant choice, and like this is the way comedy should be shot. And then I started thinking about Joe's latest special, Enough for Everybody, which is on YouTube right now, really funny special, and it's shot in a similar intimate type of thing where he's on the stage in front of people that are pretty close, and it's a small club, and you can tell it's not this Red Rocks, it's not
Right.
Madison Square Garden, and I think it's more impactful as a comedy special in that way, because if you're tuning in for comedy, the idea is to laugh, not to think, wow, this guy's a rock star.
Well, and I mean, it depends. Okay, so I mean, and I think this is something that the first guest touched on is that your style of comedy factors into that. You know what I mean? Like, like when Chris Rock came out with Bigger and Blacker, like when he came out onto that big ass stage with in that auditorium with all the people, like 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 it was a larger than life moment, but it felt like you felt that energy. You know what I mean? Like you felt that, but at the same time, there's plenty of comedians that when they come on the stage, that's not the kind of entrance or stage presence that they bring. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I mean, and that's kind of the problem that I fall into sometimes. It's not that I can't be entertaining for smaller crowds and stuff like that. I still put on a good show, but it's not the same high energy show that I want to give a full ass room. You know what I mean? Because like when you come out just super jacked up and there's 6 people in the audience, well, that comes across pretty fucking fake. You know
Uh,
what I mean? Like,
President Bean has a comment. I'm always surprised when anyone says I'm funny, let alone a comedian.
she's funny all the fucking time, by the
She's
way. Dude,
uh,
she's always fucking dude.
except when she's making fun of me. But other than that, she's funny. But when
I
she's
mean, she
making fun of
doesn't
me,
really make fun of you towards me.
oh, you don't see what she writes on Twitter. She's mean as can be
I,
to me.
yeah, I'm not on Twitter. It was annoying, and so I got
Why?
rid of it.
You can block certain words and kind of conversations, and you can limit what you see on
I
Twitter.
mean, I'm really not good with the whole social media, and I know I got to get better. And I don't know,
Well, that's
like
what she's there for. But
I'm hoping I'm trying. Yeah, I mean,
she
she's doing a great job. She's doing way better than I was.
no,
That's for sure.
she's definitely abusive to me. She's elder abuse is what she commits on me. I should have her
Oh,
locked up for elder abuse. As a matter of fact, I could call her what is it, Senior Protection Services or something. Old
there
people,
probably is a number for that. I'm sure.
and they'll be going to Kansas City to
You know,
lock her up.
interestingly enough, when I was 15, I beat up this 22-year-old, and I found out like a year or so ago that guy's in prison now for like messing with old people. He was like he got a job as a nurse aide, and he like messed with old people in the nursing home, and they fucking sent his ass to prison. So I'm super like it's weird to like be glad that you kicked somebody's ass like fucking 30 years ago. You know what I mean? You're like, oh well, now I'm even more glad that I kicked the shit out of that dude.
Yeah,
Like,
now it's a fond memory. That's cool.
yeah, like turns out I was right.
Yeah.
Like,
Now, do you get the same kind of? Because I've seen Joe List live a couple of times, 3 or 4 times now, and never knew how tall he was until he was standing right next to me. But this whole idea about I never know how big people actually are until I'm standing next to him in the whole room. It was really I mean, 6'9", 6'7", 6'9",
right,
something like that.
right.
Do you get that kind of I don't know, confusion about how big people are because of when you see them on TV or see them in a club? Because I would think just seeing him on stage that would make him look bigger. Not, but I never knew he was that tall.
Well, yeah, but when you see them on stage, they're alone, and you don't really have a contrast. And, unless you're really good at, if there's a bar stool, like a regular, bar stool, flat, the circle, the standard bar stool I'm talking about.
Yeah,
If there's one of those next to them, you might be able to reference their height into that. But when they're alone on stage, it is really hard to gauge that for real, for real. You know
right.
what I mean? But I mean, I grew up around a bunch of tall dudes. Like I was actually a short dude in my high school, and I was 5'11" when I was in high school. Life has beat me down to 5'10", but so which is weird. I'm only 42 and I'm already losing inches. I don't like that. Like
Yeah.
at least it's only in height. If I lose a little more weight, I'll gain some in other areas. Anyway, but so I don't know. Oh yeah, when I was in high school, there were like 3 guys in my class that were like nearly 7 feet tall. Joel Ellis, Justin Johnson, and Chris Riddle. They were fucking towers. But I remember like when we would play sports, like other teams like would you'd listen and you'd hear like parents from other teams be like, what are they feeding these fucking kids? Because Emmitsburg just had bigger fucking children for
Now,
real.
is this the town that named their team the Midgets?
No. So that was one of our rivals. That was Esterville is like 24 miles away from Emmitsburg, in Emmett County. I think I want to say to the north. I think Esterville is north of Emmitsburg. And they're the Esterville Midgets, but they were always our first game of the year for football. We always played the Midgets first. And I remember my freshman year, we lost to the Midgets for the first time in like over 20 years. And we didn't even make playoffs that year. Like it was like dude, it was like the worst season in Emmitsburg history for like 30 years. And then the next season, I was a sophomore and I was with the team and we went 11-1 that year. We 50-pointed 5 of our games. So we didn't even play the full game 5 times that we played, but we lost the semifinals to Iowa Falls. But they had a really good running back.
Well, there you go. The history of high school football.
Anyway, I'm so sorry. Yeah,
that
probably bored the shit out of everyone.
No. I found that amusing to be, these guys because corn-fed, whatever.
Right. Well, and like our high school. So one of the things that our high school did is the football players had a special lunch on fucking Thursdays that was like hyped up with fucking carbohydrates and starch and like the football players had a special fucking buffet that was full of fucking chicken, full of fucking pastas, all sorts of shit. And there was always a big team meal every week that rotated to different players' house. Like it was and one of the so that year, Bruce Nelson was a senior, and he was actually the 52nd overall draft pick in, I want to say, 2000. I think 2000. He went to the Carolina Panthers and played with them for 3 years. What is his weight?
He's saying he's
No,
got
it's in
he didn't go to
Emmitsburg.
high school.
Emmitsburg.
Yeah, he didn't go to high school in South Dakota. He's an
No,
Iowa boy.
yeah, I'm an Iowa boy.
That's why
We
those
were the
guys were so
Ehawks.
big.
We were the high school version of the Hawkeyes.
Wow.
That's black and gold through and through. Yeah. I'm so
And
sorry.
we're
This is
big dudes, big dudes in the school.
we were dude.
So-
I wish I should try and get dude because I remember my second wife and I had breakfast with Bruce once after I got out of prison, and we went to the restaurant and Bruce was already there, so he was sitting and he like kind of halfway stood up and shook our hands as we sat down, but he didn't stand up. But when we went to leave and say goodbyes, this fucking because he was in a center in the fucking NFL. You know
Right.
what I mean? And so he fucking gets up and just towers over my wife, and she's like, Jesus. And he was
Wow.
like, you can call me Bruce. Like,
Did he buy? Did he pay? NFL.
I think he did. I think he did pay. Now that I think about it, now that you ask, and I'll say this about Bruce: hats off to him, because unlike a large percentage of NFL players, because he only played, I think, 3 seasons because he had some, I think he had some hip issues or whatever. So he only played 3 seasons. Then he moved back to Emmitsburg and got into, went back to the family farm, helped his dad with that. And he also got into like property development. And he's actually really developed a lot of really nice, beautiful property around Five Island Lake that kind of skirts around Emmitsburg.
Good for him.
So,
I didn't know
he's been really smart, and he does assistant coaching with the high school football team. He's a solid person.
did
Through.
didn't go to his head, and he being an NFL guy didn't
Right.
didn't make him an egomaniac. Very cool.
Yeah, I mean, like he doesn't even like to do public stuff. Like if I tried to get him on the podcast, I think it'd be very difficult. I'd love to have him on, but I don't. He's just not into doing things. Like he wants to just have a private life.
Right. Yeah. Well, good for him. You know what?
Yeah.
But I think a lot of those linemen, centers, those people, they don't have long careers in the NFL anyway, though, because their
I mean,
bodies.
it's such hard impact. Yeah.
Yeah. And all the beatings they take from that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but so last night was a fun night for me, but it was, you know what, it was a strange night of nostalgia for me because
I'm sure.
I took my own way. Jackie told me take the Long Island Expressway. I don't know if you're familiar with Long Island. You're probably not. Most people aren't. But Jackie lives all the way up on the North Shore, and so do I. And so I have to drive 20 miles down to get to the Long Island Expressway to go to Oyster Bay, and then drive 5 miles north to get to Jackie's house, and then go to the club. I got to come 25 miles back to the Long Island Expressway to drive to New York. And I'm like, there's got to be a better way. I'm just going to take one of the residential roads with lots of light all the way to New York City from Jackie's place. And so I left here at 20 to 5 for an 8 o'clock show, and I was late. That's how, because and I just stopped at Jackie's, really picked up a bag of weed and left. I wasn't like that. I was there long. Most of that was sitting in lights, starting at 224th Street. Now I got to go to 34th Street, 224th Street, and there's a light every block. So 224, 223, 222, stop at a light the whole way there. But all the way, I'm seeing places I used to play when I was a kid, and going through all these like memories of club gigs that I had. And one in particular, I was like right in front of this place, and it was like a flashback to 1982, where I was playing with a band that was essentially a wedding band but did club work. And we played the same music as we played in weddings when we played the clubs. and it was boring as fucking hell. And we would end the night with New York, New York every fucking time. And this one time, I couldn't take it anymore. I just started getting ridiculous and doing like a fucking can dance and like just. And the singer was not loving it. He was not happy with me at all.
Were you like doing a Gremlins fucking impression?
I was dancing like New York, they do the kicks. New York, New York, they're
Yeah,
doing the
yeah,
kicks.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm doing all that kind of
That's
stuff. I got
you're
the
a rocket.
I'm playing the guitar behind my head doing kicks
Wow.
for Frank
Wow.
Sinatra songs. And the crowd is laughing. And there's not a lot of people left. It's like 2:00 in the morning
Yeah.
because
And that's what matters. If the crowd digs it, then who cares?
well, he cared because it was taking attention away from him. He was a great singer, but he was also an egomaniac.
One of those.
Yeah, he wanted to be. He wanted all the attention on him, and I had been playing with them for a couple of years and was so fucking bored with the music and just lost my mind. And so after the gig, he goes, don't ever upstage me again. Who do you think
bro, I hope nobody ever says some shit like that to me.
Oh yeah.
I am not gonna have a good response. What did you say? What did you say, bro?
I said, don't you ever fucking talk to me in that fucking tone of voice. I will take you outside and beat you to death.
Oh my
And,
god, that's
and,
good.
and he goes, "Are you quitting?" I said, "No, I'm firing you because you're firing me because I'm telling you I will beat the living shit out of you if you ever fucking talk to me like that again." And so let's just consider me fired rather than I quit. But I was having fun. The people were having fun. Fuck you,
Right, yeah.
It got to me.
Yeah.
It was one of those, but that moment all came back to me. It was like I was there again in front of the place. Fucking weird.
Yeah,
Also,
no, I do that a lot of times. I mean, like that post that I did of the prison window, you know what I mean? And it was weird how it happened too, because I got to the airport super early, because my original flight was supposed to be 6 a.m. So I got to the airport at like 5 a.m. And so it was still dark out. And so when I sat in that area, and it ended up that my flight ended up getting delayed to like 9:30 or whatever. But so I'm sitting in this area like right before the security check, and as the dawn breaks and I start to see things, I realize that the window right in front of me is just staring at the prison. And not only is it staring at the prison, but it's literally an angle where I can see the window that I used to fucking like. I know where I lived in reference to the prison, and like I know that was my window, 100%. And I was just like, that's a fucking trip, bro. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
like it really just stopped me in my tracks. And it was just like, this is crazy, because like I had such an awesome, busy weekend heading into my trip back home, and so it was just, I was on such a high, an exhilarated high of everything that's happened and everything that's going on, all the good things that are like just rolling right now. And then to like see that prison window that I used to stare out of from the opposite angle, bro. Like, dude, it I literally, like, I'm sitting at the airport crying, looking like a fucking sissy. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like I'm, it always makes me wonder, because I'm one of the people, like, I try not to cry in public, but fuck, man, if it happens, it happens. You know what I mean? I'm a pretty emotional person, but I think my life is dictated such. You know what I mean? And
I was thinking about this the other day because I wanted to cry the other day. I used to be a crier. I used to be a very emotional,
I mean, it's healing. It's healing. Crying is healing, no matter what.
No, I get it. But the other day, I was going through some shit, and I wanted to cry, and I realized I haven't cried in a really long time, and I think I've lost the capacity. Generally, I was telling somebody a story about a girl I knew. First, I met her the first day I got to New Mexico. She was from Boston. We talked for like 10 minutes. We moved into the same dorm together. I helped her move in, and then didn't talk to her until the end of the semester, she was flying back to Boston. I was flying to Rochester, New York. But we took a flight together to Dallas, and we sat next to each other on the flight to Dallas and talked for about the hour and 10 minutes it takes to fly from Amarillo to Dallas or whatever it was. And
Does it
then,
even take that long?
yeah, probably not even that long.
No,
I
probably
mean,
not.
sitting on the runway and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah. So, but then she was getting called to her flight to Boston, and we were saying goodbye in the airport, and we both broke down like we were lovers, not going to see each other for years or something. It was like an emotional moment. I was like, what a stupid fucking emotional kid I was. I mean, a long goodbye like that, but both of us in tears, hugging in the airport. We really had an hour conversation. That was the time. It was like, there's no reason for us to miss each other. We had never been part of each other's lives. But I was emotional. Like, I'm not now. I couldn't make myself cry like that if I wanted to. And I was at a point when I got fired. I got fired last Sunday for
Right.
for being a
For that-
no-show.
Yeah.
For being a no-show.
Did you go get your equipment that you left behind?
Oh yeah. I got all that.
Okay.
That place I'm not fired from, but the place that I got fired from, I wasn't crying because I lost a job. I was crying because those residents meant something to me, and I know they love me, and we had a connection, and I know they're gonna die soon, and I didn't get a chance to say goodbye to them. And I was like,
no, well, I mean, you can go back in the non-official, just visiting capacity.
No, I got a letter from them. I'm not welcome back there, and this is petty. The woman who the woman, the rec director there, she's mad at me and doesn't want me back there. And I think she's being petty about this because, again, it's she's not caring about the residents. She's caring about her own pride and that I fucked her over. And I definitely deserve to get fired. And I said that. But why can't I come back there and just do a free show for them? Because they love me. Yeah. We've made a connection. And they should not have to kind of just say, well, we're never going to see Matt again because you're mad at him. I fucked them over, and they should be mad at me
and it's her way. It's her way of making you seem like the bad guy. Because,
I am the bad guy.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying. To the residents, it's like, oh, he just doesn't want to show up anymore. You know what I mean?
Speaking of bad guys.
Oh my god, he's not a bad guy. He's a great guy.
No, he's not a good guy. He's a good guy. He's not a bad guy.
Hey,
good morning, Mr. Joke Man. How are you?
Good to see you, Jackie.
Well, hi. Well, I jumped up and took my really, really long swim and climbed back in my nice warm bed where I was going to lie there for an hour and try and warm up because I'm still shaking. And I had a plan to go get a nice big cup of coffee and then settle in. And so I get a call from you. So here I am, unshaved.
Well, I said no pressure.
No coffee, no nothing. Just we would have my whole body dynamic and my whole day.
Well, you should have told me go fuck myself and just.
No, I'm thrilled to be here. Thrilled to be here. Don't be silly for a second. Hey, Will, thank you very much for that gift. Keeps on giving. That stupid Bert show. Jesus.
Yeah.
Here, I'm giving you this, Will. Oh,
yeah.
See that?
Right.
But it disappears.
The gift keeps on giving. What does that mean? Good things happening, my friend.
The Bert thing is 78,000.
A lot of people are looking at my interview with Bert, my podcast with Bert.
Right. Yeah, the comments were pretty great too. A lot of the comments were really positive too.
Very nice.
A lot of love in those comments.
I was telling Ian though, the way it works though is like with every comic and not just comics, but every performer. You know, I used to think it was just me, and then you find out, you know, you could read 100 great compliments, and then you read one negative thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Think about all day, you know, and
that's true.
It's crazy.
I was talking about that before because I met, and I'm not going to say his name because he. I'm not going to say his name. I met a famous comedian on the street walking back to my car last night in Queens, smoking a joint. and was bullshitting with him. And I said something that made him laugh. And he said, "Wow, that's really funny. Are you a stand-up?" And that to me, that was the highlight of my night last night. Having a very accomplished comedian asked me, tell me I was very funny, and asked if I was a stand-up. And I was like, I was fucking high on that for the whole fucking drive home. So I get
Mark Twain said he could live for 2 months on a good compliment.
Yeah.
And you
I
think
mean,
about
it's
that,
true,
it
though.
really-
It's really
it really
true.
does make your day. You just rattle it
Yeah.
around in your head, and
right.
it's a nice thing.
Now, before we get started, we want to tell people about next week, right? It's next Thursday or a week from today. No, it's Friday. It's Friday. What is it? The Bayman thing.
Thursday.
You're doing?
The Bayman thing is next Thursday at the Crescent Beach Club, 7:00. It's me and Peter Bales, and our opening act is Tugboat Manny, who's a guy that I met. He's a nice guy, good friend of Peter's. Peter lets him do the show with us, but it's me and Peter Bales, and it looks like ticket sales are really great. It's a very high ticket price, but it's a very important, a very exciting charity. We're building a statue to honor the Bayman. The people, look at this. This is my girlfriend delivering my Matt Napo cup of coffee.
Oh,
How
you have
about
Mind
that?
Dog coffee today?
Come wave hello.
No, I'm not. No, I look terrible.
Wave hello. You look beautiful.
Wave hello. Yeah, there you go. No, you know what I was gonna say yesterday. She does look
Thank you.
beautiful. Too beautiful for you. Like you're playing above your level with
Oh,
her.
shut up.
You are. You are.
All funny men do. All funny men do.
She's a nice
She
girl.
makes an awesome almond cookie or almond chocolate chip cookie.
Yeah, she's a good girl. I knew it was something good for show business that day. I was at the Cannes Film Festival, and I didn't know who they were at the time, but it was Tim Burton and Helena Bonham Carter. And all I knew was what is this girl doing with this guy? And then you find out who, and you know why.
Right.
So unbelievable.
Yeah. Now, what was the thing? Oh, Stand Up Memories. Do you know who was on this? Who you got coming up on Stand Up Memories? I think it's John Ziegler this last week, right? Just yesterday, the show last night. No.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
Yeah, and we got we're interviewing Barbara Feldon on Monday, but that won't air for a while. I don't know I don't keep track, so I don't know what's aired already and what hasn't. I think we're still many, many ahead.
We should test Will on this. Will, you know who Barbara Feldman is?
Feldon.
Feldon. Barbara Feldon.
I'm better with pictures. You know what I mean? Like faces.
No, there's no reason he would know. Will, how old are you?
I'm 42.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
My underwear is 43.
You're a sapling.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate you saying that because, like most days, I don't feel that way.
Well, Barbara Feldon. I have me. I get stuck on shit, and I keep saying Feldman. It's Feldon. Barbara Feldon was. She played Agent 99 on a series called Get Smart in the 60s.
So I know this. Okay,
Ron
so
Adams.
are you like the hot chick that was opposite him or whatever?
Yes. Yeah.
So I know who you're talking about because I definitely remember, like, again, Nick at Night. Like, my mom was a big Nick at Night fan. Like, so she watched a lot of that kind of stuff. And so, because that's the Missed It by That Much guy, right? Missed It by That Much. That guy, yeah.
So Nick at Night is already in the past, and Nick at Night was showing things from the past. So,
right. Yeah.
That's so funny. It goes way, way back. You know who was well, let's finish the plug. So that's 7:00 Thursday night, October 19th at the Crescent Beach Club. It's going to be a great show for charity for the Bayman. They're constructing a statue of a clam digger. They've been digging clams in Oyster Bay for 400 years, and many guys have died doing it. And it's just a really nice thing for Oyster Bay to have the Bayman clam digger up there. And also to 21st, 2 nights later, I'm at McGuire's, with Bales again. Me and Peter Bales work together all the time. He's my partner.
Why didn't I know about this? Oh, the 21st. I'm just checking my calendar.
I told you about it months ago.
No, I don't think the 20. I'm there. I don't have a gig the 21st, and McGuire's is kind of close enough that. Listen, I'll be there. I'll be there. Wow, very cool.
7 o'clock, early show. Me and Peter Bales, and McGuire's is a great place. Great place. A lot of the stuff from my documentary was shot at McGuire's. So,
I did not know that. Well, so McGuire's has been around that long because the stuff from the documentary is all old footage, right? I don't.
No. Just the few recent jokes are from McGuire's. The other stuff is from Rascals and from God knows where. All kinds of places.
Hey,
go ahead.
The big news is I just started. I'm so fed up with myself doing nothing creative, and the jobs are fewer and far between, and I'm getting frustrated, and I can't get myself to pick up the goddamn guitar. So I sat down and I started, I think, writing a book. And
all right. I think writing a book. I love it. I love how he said it.
Well, there's always the same battle with me, because there's no getting around the fact that what I do is just jokes, and but I've always maintained that the bottom line is getting laughs, and I didn't have any intention of ever being a comedian. I just like telling jokes and making people laugh, which is supposed to be the essence. So it depends on how you look at it. But so the name of my book so far is Doing Comedy Wrong for the Right Reason.
I like it. Now, last night you said this to me too, that all I do is tell jokes, and I think that I'm not trying to blow fucking smoke up your ass. I'm not, but I don't think there's anything wrong with just telling jokes if you're a master joke teller, and I think you are. I mean, a joke can be funny, but if I tell it wrong, it's not funny.
Right.
I believe me, my wife can give you an example of how not to tell a joke.
Oh my God, mine too, bro.
I've always said the same thing. I'm a broken record, but anybody that says, "All right, you're telling jokes," or they're like, "Hey, you didn't write that stuff," and I say the same thing when whoever gets on stage and performs like Macbeth. Nobody in the crowd stands up and says, "Wait a minute, you didn't write this."
Yeah.
Either you do it well or you don't do it well. People say,
exactly.
No, those jokes are in the book. Well, Macbeth is in the book. Do you want to read the book, or do you want to see it performed? And do you want to see it performed well? It's apples and oranges. But there'll always be people that say, "Oh, bullshit, it's just jokes." So I'm writing the book to counter that. But it gives me the excuse to talk about my mother and her influences and all the terrific stories that happened with Stump the Joke Man, everything just joke related. And so, like anything, you sit down with this very basic idea, and all of a sudden the ideas just start to blossom, and you can't type quick enough. So I'm back in that mode where, you don't do anything for so long, and now it's like, how can I steal away and get to my computer and start typing? Which is a great feeling to have again,
Do you use a voice recorder at all to help you when you can't necessarily keep up with how fast your brain is going?
No, but I'm thinking I might do some stuff at Governor's or somewhere where I'm just going to go and just do Q&As and just record them, and then just scribe them, because when you're rolling talking about it, Yep. It's the old who cares and who's going to read this, and then you realize you cannot go by that. You got to just do what you're going to do, and then if anybody salutes it, fine.
Right.
So
yeah.
So
last night when I was at your place, I mentioned that I thought, and I was wrong, that the room would be mostly comedians last night, but it was mostly fans. But there were comedians there, and I knew who they were. And you're absolutely right. I mean, the comedians, she was hysterical. She was great. I mean, her performance was fucking flawless. But the comedians, I was watching them, and they didn't even chuckle. It's so weird watching people. I guess some of them might know the material and know the jokes, but I'm studying the comedian's reaction to the stuff, because the whole room is fucking gut laughing, and the comedians will look like, I can't imagine playing to a room full of comics who would be like that.
Because they just don't. They just don't. And like when you're sitting around with a bunch of guys and being wild and crazy with comics or friends, then you're laughing. But like I'm terrible when it comes to I just don't laugh at it anyway, and not to mention that I don't get it. Now I like that roast thing you showed me the other day. I thought that was very funny, and I don't know, but I bet anything that I wasn't laughing. I'm sitting there enjoying the hell out of it.
Right.
But it's that old thing about, oh well, that's very funny. That's very which is sounds so pompous, but it's just so beat into your head, all this crap. So
right.
And enough is enough is enough is enough.
Right. You know what was really disappointing, disenchanting for me was watching. Maybe I shouldn't say this to ruin it for other people, but I'm going to say it anyway. Watching how Hollywood it has to be. In other words, she did a show, they taped it, but then after the show, okay, we need to go back and get like the re-intro again. We need the room to kind of do all this fake clapping and applause and all this kind of stuff. Taking that like 7 times, the coming off stage bit, we'll take that a bunch of more times, and it just felt like now I'm at a production.
Oh, did they do that? Did they do that?
Yeah.
Richard Bells said that he was in Scarface. So did we talk about this already? There was a scene in Scarface where they were in a nightclub, and Belzer was the comedian. And so he's up there and it was only a short amount of time. I think he had to do like 5 minutes or something, but he did it. And he said he had to do it 23 times. And he said it couldn't have been more excruciating. The same,
And now people have to do fake laugh. The audience has to do the fake laugh. The first time they heard it, they probably laughed legitimately, but then the second time a little less, and then by third or fourth time, they're like forcing themselves to do ha ha ha.
I always thought those things where they went in, they taped them, and what you got, which
I mean, I feel like you should do it that way. I don't think, but like Comic View. I went to a taping of the Comic View back in 2003, and they didn't really do it like that. Like they just got the crowd excited before the performer came out. Like, which is the host's job. Like the host's job is to create the energy that you want for your performer when they come on stage.
And
like that's the job of the host.
That was there. It was legitimate for the whole show. It was legitimate, but then they felt like the need to do for production value, and the director kept pushing them. And I was like, this was me when I was trying to make films. Everybody I was wearing the talent out. They don't do more takes than you can tell when it's just feeling frustrated. It's starting to feel plastic, and the performers are demonstrating that. You lose it after a couple of takes. Stop. But
it's tricky. Like that's why I hate when like if I have an opening act and then a middle act or something, and they both go like after 10 minutes after the show gets rolling, I'm ready to go out there and go to work. And all of a sudden the opening act does 15 minutes and the next guy does 35 minutes. Like your sweet spot, you're trying to hold on to your sweet spot, and it's never anything that the audience can ascertain, but it's just a drag. You're like, you're a racehorse. You know what I mean? You're ready to go.
Well,
you're holding back the bit, and like, Jesus Christ, it's more to it than meets the eye,
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying, and I think that's why it's important to have like degrees of separation almost, because a good host builds the show. You know what I mean? And to where, like, when your headliner comes, this is the climax, y'all. But I think that what you're saying is that you kind of, like, I could see, like, if your host only does 10 and your middle only does 20, you're gonna hit your, like, when you get comfortable in your set is when you're gonna get that peak thing. So I think that,
And that's just right. That's just right.
yeah.
But if it becomes 50,
So
instead of 10 and 20, if it becomes 15 and 40, then
right,
you're
it definitely changes how the crowd is going to receive your
the
headliner for
idea of
sure.
the host, the MC, is to get people warmed up and then
Yeah.
pass the ball.
Yep.
Not while but that's
Yeah, it's not your time to
it's all
shine.
horseshit. We got to
Right.
realize we're not curing cancer here. We're all so
Right.
full of shit.
Yeah.
Especially.
I did not take your advice last night. I did not go back to the expressway. I went on 25A the whole fucking way.
Yeah, we're gonna
Light after light after light.
Oh, are you
But
still sorry?
I am. You know what? Until I got to
Jackie.
Queens, I wasn't sorry at all. I was like, fuck Jackie, man. I would have been on the expressway sitting in miserable traffic, and this is a breeze. I'm going through Roslyn, and when I go through Roslyn, I'm like, I'm having a nostalgia trip back to my father's place and when I'm 20 years old, and I'm loving Glen Cove, I'm loving Roslyn, all that stuff. Get to Queens, and I'm like, Jackie was right. Jackie was right.
Yeah,
I should have listened to Jackie.
You get to Little Neck Fuckway.
That's exactly right. But the reason I brought that up is in that area now, the Astoria, Queens. I don't know if you know this. I didn't know it until last night. There's a cluster in Astoria, Queens, comedians living there. It's almost like a Greenwich Village music scene of the '60s, a comedy scene in Astoria, Queens. Were you aware of that? Like
I knew it was coming about because a friend of mine, a couple of friends of mine years ago, they said that they felt it was starting to happen. Like maybe 10, maybe 15 years ago, because a bunch of little clubs popped up there, right?
Right.
Like small clubs, like I know
really small.
I went down there to visit. Like that's where I met David Feldman. He was doing a show with Frank Conniff, and but it was like somebody's living room. What was it? Had a weird name. I'll never remember. But
they're all over the place. Yeah, I walked past several of those last night. That's where I met that comedian on the street smoking a joint outside one of those little things. But the place I was in last night, the place you're in right now is twice as big as the place I was in, where they did this comedy.
Wow.
But
Jeez.
I felt, and I talked about this earlier in the show, that I felt like it was a very smart move. Because when you see, and we were kind of talking about this last night at your place, these comedians who do shows at Red Rocks, they do Madison Square Garden, they do this whole thing. It feels like they're more of a rock star type of thing where they're just trying to make the comedian look big, but it's not necessarily conducive to comedy and feeling the comedy at home. This was so intimate that I think it will be a better experience for people watching it at home. They'll feel more like
I think absolutely. The sweet spot is 200 to 400. Like Club I don't know if you remember Club A. I think that was 700, but they were packed. I mean, it was a big rectangle, and with the people sitting very close together in like Boy Scout style tables. But what's that called? Where the
shit!
people are
I gotta
just
get
all
off